Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hey Team Healthy, glad to have you for another episode of our Narcissism Is series, where I'm hoping I can help you find some insight into the pattern of narcissism that narcissists can't necessarily share with you, but the more you know about where they're coming from, then the more capable you're going to be to respond in a healthy way. Now, to set up our discussion for today, I want you to be reminded that narcissists like for you to think that they're a finished product. In other words, I know so much more than you, or I don't need to receive your input. And they can take this attitude to the extent of thinking, you should actually feel honored to have someone like me in your life to tell you what to do. But when you notice that somebody has that kind of a condescending mindset, you can rest assured they're sitting on a whole lot of insecurity. And I want you to understand that thoroughly. Narcissism is built upon a lot of unfinished business. Now, let's go back to that person's formative years, and chances are you could have had some similar experiences. That person is thinking, where do I stand in my world? When I'm with my family or with my peers or at school or in a social milieu, what's my place here? And many children grow up learning and figuring out that this is a very judgmental world. There's a pecking order. And many times they think, well, I guess I have to be this way and I can't be that way. And if I reveal this, then that's going to be good. If I reveal that, that's not going to be all that great. And as a result, they have difficulty knowing what to do with some of the troublesome experiences that might be in front of them. For example, what am I supposed to do when I'm feeling rejected right now? What am I supposed to do when it's clear that somebody just doesn't seem to think that I'm all that bright? Or what am I going to do when I'm judged or when I feel inadequate? Or I want to say I don't know, but I'm not sure what that's going to do. What am I going to do when I'm the outsider looking in with that group of people over there and I wish I could belong? And one of the things that a child, if they could summarize as well, that they could conclude is, I could use some help. And yet those individuals begin to realize as they age, saying those words, I need help, that could get me in some trouble. And as a result, they think, well, if I ask for help, then I might get punished if I reveal that I have done something wrong. I might be mocked. I'll feel exposed. I might be belittled. And so they think to themselves, well, I'm confused. In fact, sometimes they actually can think I feel damaged on the inside, but I can't put it out there. It's not going to go well. I'm going to be humiliated. And many narcissists have great difficulty letting individuals know I need help. And you can see it in the adult years. How many times have you seen very clearly the narcissist in your life who is in error and they're making a mess of things, and yet when you try to talk with them about it, it's like, no, I don't need it. Actually, I could use help, but it's like, if you want to bring some help in my direction, I reject it. I'm not going to give it to you. Now, the net result of this, and how you can really see this, is that instead of saying I need help, what they'll do is they'll invalidate anyone who comes against them. You just don't know what you're talking about. And then if you don't really receive what they might have to offer you, then you know the one emotion that's going to show up very strongly, and that is their anger. They can come at you with great force. Sometimes it's with harsh, and mean kind of a spirit. Sometimes it's, you know that they're holding you in deep contempt, but basically they're thinking, you're not giving me what I want. I could actually use some help. But instead of asking for help in a healthy kind of way, I'm just going to lambaste you. I'm going to just make your life miserable. And you can see then that because of this, their feelings of worth or steadiness are shaky at best. They wind up being in a very powerful codependent pattern. And when I say that, they're constantly feeding off of individuals in front of them. I'll feel good if you make me feel good. I'll feel bad if you make me feel bad. But no way am I going to expose that and say, could you help me out? I'm kind of confused here. And because they can't ask for help and because they can't admit all of the strain and difficulty on the inside, they think, well, the best way for me to respond then is for me to stay in control. And when I can control you, then that compensates for any feeling of helplessness that I might otherwise have. And I'm just going to defend my honor at any slight hint of you coming against me, which of course is part of their defensiveness. Now, this pattern of life, like I say, has its early origins, obviously, in the childhood years, and then in the adult years, when the capacity for insight ideally would blossom, it doesn't. Instead, what they do is they just buckle in, or they double down on all of their rigidity. And so they have opinions that they won't let go of. They won't hear your opinions. They can come across as a know-it-all. They can be stubborn in the way that they engage with you. They can refuse to cooperate. They're not a team player. And so they project the notion that says, I don't need your help at all. In fact, you need my help. And then they flip the script and they say, well, if there's any problem in my life, it's because you are insufficient. I reject any notion that you think that I'm weak. You're the weak person, and it's all a matter of enormous compensation. Now, when you look at it this way, narcissists are actually screaming for help, which is why they develop all these unhealthy characteristics, but they refuse to receive help. Then it creates such an ongoing pattern of impenetrability. Let's take it a little bit further. And I want you to, as I mentioned some of these particular patterns, I want you to see if you can figure out how this actually is their way of saying, I need help, but I reject help. For example, when the narcissist has to be dominant over you, they have to have the final word. Basically, what they're saying is, I have to appear self-sufficient. I can't let anybody know I'm anything other than that. You'll notice that their defenses are at an all-time absurd kind of level. In their mind, it's their way of thinking, I will never, ever, ever expose my vulnerabilities. I can't afford to do that. All it's going to do is bring me problems. They'll resist any kind of constructive input that you might have. They don't have any sense of curiosity. They have all sorts of evidences that illustrate that they have low self-esteem. They've got to have lots of admiration. And anybody that says, I don't think I agree with you, then they can't deal with it. And that implies their neediness for validation is so strong. As a result of that, they can't develop empathy because they don't trust. And they instead create what we refer to as their alternate reality. They'll just kind of make up facts about you, about themselves, about memories, about how things are supposed to be in such a way that suits their narrative, all because they say, I don't need your help. When in fact, their whole life screams, I need help and I need it in the worst sort of way. So it's when you put it in words like this, you think, well, this is really absurd and it's ridiculous. But what it tells us is narcissists have become the epitome of pessimism. Why would I open myself up to anyone? It's going to be a problem. But instead of saying, I need to reverse that thinking, what they do is they say, yeah, it's going to be a problem. You're a problem. And their only problem is you're out of sync with the alternate reality that they generate. So your dilemma is, are you able to actually offer assistance to someone who needs help and yet declares they have no need for help? And when you think of it that way, the answer is, I don't think I can help that individual. One of the things that's necessary for any kind of growth or healing to occur is you have to have the sufficient humility to say, my way isn't working. I'm perplexed sometimes by people who bring me outside of my comfort zone. Could you offer me some guidance? They can't think that way. So I'm hoping that you can see that the narcissist, like I say, they want you to think that they're a finished product, that they're the gold standard, and they're the ones that everybody needs to conform to, when in fact, it's not that at all. If they could be honest, what they would say is, well, when complexity shows up, I feel terribly inept. And my response to that is, yeah, don't we all feel that way at times? But the narcissist might be thinking, well, if I could use your help, I'm not going to do that, because all that's going to do is expose me, and it's not going to work out. So they stay committed to their false bravado. They stay committed to their stubbornness, all at the cost of crumbling relationships. They have a long wake of relationships that don't work. And then if they hear me say something that about them, you know what they would say to that? They would say, Carter, none of this is true. I don't need your help. Okay. And then we're going to come up with, was it Fleetwood Mac? You can go your own way. Go your own way. I'm going to go mine. Now that videos like this can give you some good insight about what you're dealing with, I mean, it's tragic when you break it down and realize they're carrying around so much turmoil on the inside, but there they are. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do, and I want to give you more insights in future videos. I really appreciate you allowing me to be on your journey with you. Now, you know that being a retired therapist, I'm a huge believer in therapy, and as the need is there, you know, we have the link below that will take you to our sponsor, the folks at BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy resource, and all you have to do is answer a few questions, and I would hope that you would be able to get a therapist that can work with you on these kinds of issues. As the need is there, please go through the link and get the assistance that would be so necessary. Now, in addition, I also invite you to go to my website, and on the website I have lots of resources. You'll see a tab that's there with courses. I have 4 courses, and there I'll walk you through some healing. One is called each course has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts, etc. One is called Anger Games, about managing anger properly with the narcissist. We have another called This Is Me, about managing boundaries correctly. Another is called Ready, Set, Connect, about what healthy connections look like. And then we have one called Free to Be in Finding Yourself Despite Their Efforts to Control You. We also have webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations, along with hundreds of articles, my book, so lots of resources. Wouldn't it be nice if the narcissist could be honest enough to say, you know, I'm not a finished product. I want to learn for the rest of my life, and if there's something that you could do to help me, I welcome that. How hard is that? And to the narcissist, it's like, can't do it. No can-do-ski. I can't do that. And my response is, yes, I see that. I'm sorry that you can't go there, but I could use help, and that means I'm going to be a lifelong learner, and we can assist each other along the way. That's how it ought to be, in my mind. So go your own way, and in doing so, I hope that it leads you toward your steadiness, and then ultimately you can have a sense of peace that they may not be able to share with you, but I do indeed hope that you'll find your place of peace.